Boeing once owned the middle market, from transatlantic runs like Boston-Dublin to thin long-haul routes across Asia. The 757 was the undisputed king, but today, Boeing has nothing to show for it. While it stretched the 737 to its limits and sketched out aircraft that may never fly, Airbus quietly built a jet that's now conquering the very routes Boeing abandoned. The Airbus A321 XLR isn't just another narrowbody, it's the weapon that turned Boeing's biggest blind spot into Airbus's biggest advantage. Over 500 firm orders, airlines locking in fleets for decades, and Boeing still debating whiteboard concepts while Airbus rewrites the global route map. So, how did Boeing's sure thing become its greatest strategic error? And why does one narrowbody threaten to reshape its entire future? To understand, we need to know what Boeing did that defies all business logic. In 2004, it ended production of the 757, the undisputed king of the middle market, with absolutely no replacement plan. We're talking about routes too long for most narrowbodies, too thin for widebodies, Boston to Dublin, Philadelphia to Lisbon, routes where you need serious range but can't support 400 passengers. The 757 wasn't just any aircraft, exceptional climb performance, transatlantic range, the ability to operate from shorter runways that bigger or even smaller jets couldn't touch. Airlines used it for perfect long and thin routes throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Boeing completely owned this segment, then it walked away. Its post-757 bet was the 787, completely misjudging the rise of point-to-point travel and secondary city connections. Boeing hoped the 787 would cover middle-market routes, but its larger capacity and costs proved too much for thinner routes, leaving the gap Airbus exploited. It looked like brilliant financial management in 2004. Why spend billions on new aircraft when you can just push existing designs and sell more profitable widebodies? That 15-year vacuum Boeing created, Airbus methodically filled it with something far superior to anything Boeing had ever built. This gap let Airbus strike with precision. Enter the Airbus A321 XLR, announced in 2019, certified in 2024. First deliveries already underway since 2024. This isn't just filling Boeing's gap, this is exploiting it systematically. Range of approximately 4,700 nautical miles, Boston to Rome, New York to Athens, select Asia-Pacific routes within realistic payload limits, all suddenly possible with a narrowbody. But here's the genius engineering that makes this devastating for Boeing. Airbus achieved this range through a permanent rear center tank that adds 12,900 liters of fuel, bringing total capacity to 32,940 liters. Unlike auxiliary tanks that steal precious cargo space, this maintains the full cargo hold. That's additional revenue airlines would otherwise lose. The efficiency numbers are brutal for Boeing, 30% lower fuel burn per seat compared to previous generation aircraft. In a world of $100 per barrel oil and incoming carbon taxes, that's not just competitive advantage, that's survival. The A321 XLR turns long and thin routes like Boston-Rome profitable with 30% lower fuel burn, a feat widebodies often couldn't achieve. United's 50 A321 XLRs to replace 757s and Americans' orders sent a clear signal. Boeing's crown jewel customers are defecting to Airbus. The A321 XLR faced certification delays until July 2024 due to fuel tank safety concerns. Yet Airbus still delivered faster than Boeing's stalled 737 MAX 10. 18-inch seat width in many layouts, better than Boeing's 737 MAX 10. A quiet, modern cabin delivering genuine long-haul comfort in a narrow-body frame. But here's what makes this truly dangerous. This is a versatile aircraft. One platform handles transatlantic flights, intra-Asia-Pacific sectors, US coast-to-coast routes, and Latin America connections. It works across every segment of the middle market Boeing abandoned. Now, you might wonder, how did Boeing's leadership become so blind to this obvious market opportunity? The sunk cost fallacy hit Boeing like a major setback. Decades invested in the 737 family and widebody programs made it psychologically impossible to admit it needed something completely different. The real poison entered Boeing's system in 1997 with the McDonnell-Douglas merger, transforming Boeing from engineering first to finance first. What looked like smart financial management created a costly misstep that would echo for decades. Boeing's current response should genuinely concern aviation investors. It has two options, and both are problematic. Option 1, the 737 MAX 10, a maxed-out version of a 1960s airframe stretched to absolute engineering limits. Its range? About 3,100 nautical miles. That's a devastating 1,600 nautical miles short of the A321 XLR's capability. It works fine for domestic and regional routes. For transatlantic or Asia-Pacific medium-haul missions, completely insufficient. Plus, ongoing regulatory delays following the MAX crisis makes Boeing's position even weaker. Option 2, the proposed Boeing 797, its theoretical answer since 2015. On paper, it sounds perfect. Two variants considered, one range-optimized, one capacity-optimized, seating for 200 to 270 passengers with over 5,000 nautical miles of range. The brutal reality? Boeing's 797 development cost was estimated at over $10 billion, though no firm development plan exists. After the MAX disasters and 787 development troubles, Boeing's board remains hesitant about that massive financial commitment. Simply put, Boeing does not have the cash right now. Airlines can't wait forever for theoretical aircraft. Every month Boeing delays is another month of A321 XLR orders they'll never recover. But it goes even deeper. The A321 XLR's impact extends beyond individual routes. It's fundamentally changing how airlines think about network planning. Traditional hub-and-spoke models required passengers to connect through major airports. The A321 XLR enables point-to-point connections between secondary cities that bypass congested hubs entirely. Consider the implications. A passenger flying from Nashville to Barcelona no longer needs to connect through Atlanta and/or Madrid. Direct service becomes economically viable with the A321 XLR's economics. This creates cascading effects throughout the industry. Secondary airports gain international service. Passengers save hours on journey times, while airlines capture premium revenue from business travelers willing to pay for convenience. Boeing's widebody strategy assumed airlines would funnel traffic through smaller and/or major hubs using large aircraft. The A321 XLR's popularity proves that assumption fundamentally wrong. Airlines are discovering they can serve thin international routes profitably while offering passengers what they actually want: direct flights with reasonable comfort. But there is something else. Airbus gained another crucial advantage Boeing didn't anticipate: an existing supply chain. The A321 XLR shares major components with the standard A321neo family. Same engines, similar avionics, identical cockpit systems. This commonality means Airbus can leverage existing supplier relationships and production infrastructure. Boeing's theoretical 797 would require an entirely new supply chain, new engines, new systems, new manufacturing processes. In a post-pandemic world where supply chains face constant disruption, this represents enormous risk. Airbus can ramp A321 XLR production using proven suppliers and established quality systems. Boeing would be gambling billions on unproven partnerships and untested manufacturing processes. The financial implications are staggering. Airbus reduces development risk while Boeing multiplies it. Airlines ordering A321 XLRs get aircraft from established production lines. Airlines waiting for the 797 face uncertainty about delivery schedules, certification timelines, and initial reliability. This shift reshapes geopolitics in aviation. So, theoretically, could there be room for both the A321 XLR and a future Boeing 797 to coexist? The XLR handling thinner long-haul routes, while a hypothetical 797 serving larger middle-market segments? Maybe, but here's the brutal mathematics of airline fleet planning. The longer Boeing waits to make firm decisions, the more airlines commit their capital and route planning to Airbus solutions. Fleet decisions in commercial aviation last 20 to 30 years. Every single A321 XLR order represents a customer Boeing might never win back during the productive lifetime of their careers. Then, we need to also talk about pilot training economics. The A321 XLR requires minimal additional training for pilots already certified on the A320 family. Airlines can move crews seamlessly between short-haul A320s and long-haul A321 XLRs without expensive retraining programs. Boeing 797, if it ever launches, could potentially require entirely new type ratings. Pilots would need months of training, simulators would need development, and maintenance crews would need certification on new systems. In an industry facing acute pilot shortages, this flexibility matters enormously. Airlines can maximize pilot utilization across their narrow-body fleets while minimizing training costs. Low-cost carriers particularly benefit from this commonality. They can operate A321 XLRs on international routes while maintaining cost structures similar to domestic operations. Boeing's strategy of family commonality across the 737 line becomes irrelevant when the 737 MAX 10 cannot serve the routes airlines actually want to fly. The A321 XLR represents far more than just a successful aircraft program for Airbus. It's become a powerful symbol of Boeing's missed opportunities and strategic blindness at the highest corporate levels. Boeing's current answers are either completely outdated, like the range-limited 737 MAX 10, or entirely hypothetical. Meanwhile, Airbus is delivering real aircraft to real airlines, flying real passengers on profitable routes Boeing pioneered and then abandoned. Boeing faces their ultimate moment of truth. They can choose incremental catch-up with stretched versions of old designs, or make a massive financial gamble on a clean sheet breakthrough that might arrive too late to matter competitively. The A321 XLR isn't succeeding because of revolutionary technology Boeing couldn't have developed. It's succeeding because of what Boeing deliberately chose not to build when they had the chance. 20 years ago, Boeing was the undisputed king of the middle market. Today, they're reduced to spectators, watching Airbus collect revenue from routes Boeing originally pioneered and developed. Hey, before you go, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to like this video next, so why not check it out?